Turning obstacles into opportunities, the counterintuitive path to success. Welcome to the BlackCEO Podcast, where we explore the cutting edge of personal growth and leadership. Today, we're diving into a topic that's not just thought-provoking, but potentially life-changing. I recently had the incredible privilege of sitting down with Dr. Carl Barnes, a true visionary in the field of psychology and personal development. His groundbreaking work has transformed countless lives and is reshaping how we view our most daunting challenges. Dr. Barnes isn't just a scholar, he's a beacon of hope for those struggling to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Have you ever faced a challenge so overwhelming that it felt like you were trying to scale Mount Everest in flip-flops? We've all been there, haven't we? That moment when your dreams seem to mock you, whispering, "Nice try, but you're way out of your league." Well, buckle up, because we're also about to flip that script in a way that might just blow your mind. Dr. Barnes, with his decades of experience and razor-sharp insights, has uncovered a secret that's been hiding in plain sight. It's a perspective so powerful, yet so counterintuitive, that it might make your brain do a double take. Are you ready for it? Here it is. Those insurmountable odds, those seemingly impossible challenges, they're not your enemies. They're your secret weapons. Now, and I know what you're thinking. Great, another motivational speaker telling me to love my problems. But stick with me here, because this isn't about slapping a smiley face sticker on your troubles and calling it a day. It's about understanding a fundamental truth that Dr. Barnes has observed time and time again. Our greatest growth comes from our greatest challenges. Let's break this down. Think about the last time you faced a massive obstacle. Maybe it was a career setback that left you questioning your entire professional path. Perhaps it was a personal loss that shook you to your core. Or maybe it was a goal so far out of reach you needed the Hubble telescope just to catch a glimpse of it. How did you feel? Overwhelmed, discouraged, ready to throw in the towel and binge watch your sorrows away? That's a normal reaction. It's also a trap. Dr. Barnes argues that this moment, this exact point where you feel like you're at your absolute limit, is where the magic happens. It's where you have the opportunity to redefine what's possible. But here's the kicker. To tap into this potential, you need to change how you view the challenge itself. Imagine you're at the gym, you're lifting weights, and you reach a point where your muscles are screaming, begging you to stop. That burn, that struggle, that's where the growth happens. If you always lifted weights that felt comfortable, you'd never get stronger. The same principle applies to life's challenges. Dr. Barnes shared a story with me that perfectly illustrates this point. He told me about a client of his. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was a talented artist who dreamed of opening her own gallery. But there was one tiny problem. She was terrified of public speaking. The mere thought of standing in front of a crowd to present her work made her want to crawl under her bed and never come out. Now, many people in Sarah's position would have given up. They'd say, well, I guess owning a gallery just isn't in the cards for me. But Sarah, with Dr. Barnes' guidance, decided to view this fear as her greatest opportunity for growth. Instead of avoiding public speaking, Sarah threw herself into it. She joined Toastmasters, volunteered to give presentations at local art clubs, and even signed up for an improv class. Was it uncomfortable? Absolutely. Did she want to run away screaming half the time? You bet. But with each challenge, each moment of discomfort, Sarah was growing. Fast forward 2 years, and Sarah wasn't just comfortable with public speaking. She was electrifying. Her gallery opening was a smash hit, with Sarah confidently engaging potential buyers and art critics alike. That insurmountable obstacle had become her superpower. This story highlights a crucial point in Dr. Barnes' philosophy. Our greatest weaknesses often hide our greatest potential for growth. It's like life is playing a cosmic joke on us, disguising our best opportunities as our biggest problems. But here's where it gets really interesting. Dr. Barnes doesn't just advocate for facing our challenges. He suggests we should actively seek them out. I know it sounds a bit masochistic, doesn't it? But hear me out. Think about the most successful people you know, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the leaders who seem to have it all figured out. Do you think they got there by staying in their comfort zone? Of course not. They got there by constantly pushing their limits, by willingly putting themselves in situations that scared them. Dr. Barnes calls this intentional discomfort, and he believes it's the fast track to personal growth. It's about deliberately seeking out challenges that push you to your limits. It's about looking at that mountain of an obstacle and saying, bring it on. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, easy for you to say, you don't know what I'm dealing with. And you're right, I don't. Everyone's challenges are unique, and some are undeniably more difficult than others. But that's not the point. The point is that regardless of the size of your obstacle, your growth potential is directly proportional to how you approach it. Dr. Barnes shared another insight that I found particularly powerful. He said, the size of your success is determined by the size of your challenges, not the size of your comfort zone. Let that sink in for a moment. We often measure our progress by how comfortable we feel, but true growth happens when we're uncomfortable. Think about it like this. Comfort is like a cozy bed on a cold morning. It feels great, but if you stay there too long, you miss out on the day's opportunities. Growth, on the other hand, is like jumping into a cold shower. It's shocking at first, maybe even painful, but it wakes you up and energizes you for what's ahead. But here's the million-dollar question. How do we actually do this? How do we train ourselves to embrace challenges instead of running from them? Dr. Barnes offers a three-step approach that I find brilliantly simple yet profoundly effective. Step one, reframe the challenge. Instead of seeing it as a problem, view it as an opportunity for growth. This isn't just positive thinking. It's about fundamentally shifting your perspective. When you encounter an obstacle, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? Step two, break it down. Big challenges can feel overwhelming when viewed as a whole. The trick is to break them down into smaller, manageable steps. Remember Sarah, our public speaking phobic artist? She didn't start by giving a TED Talk. She began with small, incremental challenges that gradually built her confidence. Step three, celebrate the struggle. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive part of Dr. Barnes's approach. He argues that we should find joy not just in overcoming challenges, but in the process of struggling with them. It's about learning to love the journey, not just the destination. Now, I know what you're thinking. Celebrate the struggle. Are you kidding me? There's nothing to celebrate about failing or feeling stuck. But here's the thing. By celebrating the struggle, you're acknowledging your own courage. You're patting yourself on the back for having the guts to try, regardless of the outcome. Dr. Barnes suggests keeping a challenge journal. Every time you face a difficult situation, write it down. Describe the challenge, how you felt, and what you learned. Over time, this journal becomes a testament to your growth, a record of your increasing resilience. But let's get real for a moment. This isn't easy. Embracing challenges goes against our natural instincts. We're wired to seek comfort and avoid pain. So how do we override this programming? Dr. Barnes believes the key lies in understanding the psychology of growth. When we face a challenge and overcome it, our brain releases chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitters. This creates a positive feedback loop, making us more likely to tackle challenges in the future. The trick is to start small. Don't try to climb Everest on day one. Start with a hill, then a bigger hill, then a small mountain. Before you know it, you'll be looking at challenges that once seemed impossible and thinking, I've got this. One of the most powerful examples Dr. Barnes shared was about a CEO he worked with. This CEO was brilliant at strategy, but struggled with emotional intelligence. He was known for his short temper and inability to connect with his team. Instead of viewing this as a fixed trait, the CEO decided to treat it as his next big challenge. He started small. He set a goal to have one meaningful, non-work related conversation with the team member each day. At first, it was awkward and uncomfortable, but he persisted. He took courses in emotional intelligence, practiced active listening, and even started meditating to improve his emotional regulation. The transformation was remarkable. Within a year, this CEO wasn't just tolerated by his team, he was beloved. Employee satisfaction skyrocketed, and so did productivity. By tackling his greatest weakness head on, he didn't just improve as a leader, he revolutionized his entire company. This story illustrates a crucial point. Our biggest challenges often hold the key to our most significant breakthroughs. It's not about being fearless, it's about being brave enough to face your fears and grow through them. Dr. Barnes emphasizes that this approach to challenges isn't just about personal growth. It has far-reaching implications for innovation and progress in all areas of life. Think about the greatest inventions and advancements in history. They all came from people who were willing to tackle seemingly insurmountable problems. The Wright brothers didn't look at the challenge of human flight and say, that's impossible. They saw it as an irresistible puzzle to solve. Marie Curie didn't shy away from the mysteries of radioactivity because they were too complex. She dove in, despite the risks, because she saw the potential for groundbreaking discoveries. In our own lives, we may not be inventing airplanes or discovering new elements, but we are constantly faced with opportunities to innovate, to push boundaries, to redefine what's possible. Every time we choose to confront a challenge instead of avoiding it, we're contributing to this legacy of human progress. But here's the real kicker, and this is something Dr. Barnes is particularly passionate about. Embracing challenges doesn't just change us as individuals. It has a ripple effect that can transform entire communities. When we model resilience and growth, we inspire others to do the same. We create a culture of courage, of innovation, of relentless improvement. Imagine a world where everyone viewed challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. The potential for positive change would be limitless. Dr. Barnes shared another powerful story that demonstrates this ripple effect. He worked with a school district that was struggling with high dropout rates and low student engagement. Instead of implementing yet another standardized program, they decided to embrace the challenge head on. They introduced a challenge curriculum where students were encouraged to take on projects that scared them, that pushed them out of their comfort zones. The results were astounding. Students who had been on the verge of dropping out suddenly became engaged. They were tackling complex problems, starting businesses, and even working on community improvement projects. But here's the most interesting part. It wasn't just the students who changed. Teachers reported feeling more energized and creative. Parents became more involved in their children's education. The entire community started to rally around the school, volunteering and offering resources. This is the power of embracing challenges. It doesn't just change individuals. It has the potential to transform entire communities. Now, I want to address something that might be on your mind. You might be thinking, this all sounds great, but what about when challenges are truly overwhelming? What about when we face tragedies or setbacks that seem impossible to overcome? Dr. Barnes doesn't shy away from these tough questions. He acknowledges that some challenges are incredibly difficult and painful, but he argues that even in our darkest moments, we have a choice in how we respond. He shared a deeply moving story about a woman who lost her child in a tragic accident. The pain was unimaginable, and for a long time, she felt like she couldn't go on. But slowly, with support and time, she began to channel her grief into action. She started a foundation to prevent similar accidents, and in doing so, found a way to honor her child's memory and create meaning from her loss. This doesn't mean her pain disappeared or that the challenge wasn't real. But by choosing to face it, to grow through it, she found a way to create something positive out of unimaginable tragedy. Dr. Barnes emphasizes that embracing challenges doesn't mean we won't feel pain or fear. It doesn't mean we'll always succeed, but it does mean that we're choosing to engage with life fully, to learn and grow even when it's difficult. As we were near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge of your own. Think about something in your life right now that seems insurmountable, that big scary thing that you've been avoiding or that makes you want to hide under the covers. Now, I want you to reframe it. Instead of seeing it as a problem, view it as your next big opportunity for growth. Ask yourself, what could I learn from tackling this? How could overcoming this challenge make me stronger, wiser, more resilient? Then take one small step towards facing it, just one. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic. Remember, we're starting with the hill, not Everest. Maybe it's making a phone call you've been putting off, or signing up for a class that scares you, or having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, take that step. And when you do, celebrate it. Not just the outcome, but the fact that you had the courage to try. Because that's where the real growth happens. In the trying, in the struggling, in the willingness to be uncomfortable for the sake of progress. Remember, as Dr. Barnes so eloquently puts it, your challenges are not your enemies. They're your greatest allies in personal growth. They're the resistance that builds your strength, the obstacles that hone your problem-solving skills, the fears that, when faced, expand your sense of what's possible. So the next time you're faced with a challenge that seems insurmountable, I want you to smile. I want you to look at that mountain and say, thank you for this opportunity to grow. Because that's exactly what it is, an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you ever thought possible. In closing, I want to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Carl Barnes for sharing his profound insights with us. His work is truly making the world a better place, one transformed perspective at a time. And thank you, dear listeners, for joining me on this exploration of the power of embracing our challenges. Now, I want to leave you with a call to action, a challenge, if you will. For the next week, I want you to actively seek out one thing each day that scares you a little. It could be as simple as striking up a conversation with a stranger, or as bold as pitching that idea you've been sitting on to your boss. Whatever it is, do it. Embrace the discomfort, feel the fear, and do it anyway. And here's the crucial part. I want you to really pay attention to how you feel before, during, and after. Notice the anxiety building up, the resistance you feel. Embrace it. Then as you push through, notice how you feel, the sense of accomplishment, the boost in confidence, the realization that you're capable of more than you thought. At the end of the week, reflect on your experiences. How has facing these small challenges changed your perspective? How has it affected your confidence, your outlook on bigger challenges in your life? Remember, this isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave. It's about recognizing that on the other side of your comfort zone lies growth, opportunity, and a version of yourself you haven't met yet. So go forth. Embrace your challenges. Seek out opportunities for growth. And remember, every time you face a fear, every time you tackle a challenge head on, you're not just changing yourself. You're contributing to a ripple effect that can change the world. The path to greatness isn't a smooth, easy road. It's a challenging, often uncomfortable journey. But it's on that journey that we discover our true strength, our real potential. So go forth, seek out those challenges, and grow through them. Your future self will thank you, and the world will be better for it. This is the Black CEO Podcast, reminding you that your greatest obstacles are often disguised as your greatest opportunities. Until next time, keep pushing those boundaries, keep redefining what's possible, and never stop growing. The world is waiting for the unique contribution that only you can make. Now go out there and turn those obstacles into opportunities.